I'll go through the attacks and then I'll discuss in detail. Next is your transport. TCP flooding, UDP flooding, this kind of attack happens on transport layer. Next is your session. Port knocking, ISAC, fingerprinting, flood. These are the network. The session is session hijacking, ARP spoofing, DOS attack, presentation layer, man in middle, SSL DOS, SMB, and on the application, buffer overflow, HTTP DOS, brute force, remote code execution. These are application layer. Now you must be wondering, what does this all means? Because I'm sure you guys did not read. That was not a part of the course. First is clear. Physical. Anyone? Okay.
No.
Next is your data link. In the data link, we discussed about the packet sniffing. We discussed about the MAC address spoofing. We discussed about the ARP cache. I have prepared example for web. I just wanted to share with you. MAC address spoofing, it's nothing. Every machine have a MAC address. If you go here and you type ipconfig, or if you are on the Linux, you go ifconfig, you will be able to see your MAC address. These kind of address can easily be spoofed. Although this is a fixed address, but that can easily be spoofed. So if I change the MAC address to person A and do some attack or do something, and later on during the investigation, whenever they will check the logs, what they will find, oh, this MAC address connected to the network. And if they will search whose MAC address is that, it will point to me. ARP, I'll show the example to you, the ARP cache poisoning. I have an example. Just ping flooding. When I was going here, you may have noticed I mentioned here the on this layer, and then I also mentioned the DOS attack on the another layer. Why is that so? What is DOS attack?
Denial of service.
Denial of service. Very good. So how you achieve a denial of service? Very simple. Let's say I am running any server on my machine. In my machine, I am running a Zen server. I am running a IIS. Now, if someone is going to send me a packet, what it will do? Let's say we try to send a packet. Just for a demo purposes, I have another laptop here, right beside me. 192.168.1.14, I guess. I am sending a packet. If you look here, the packet is a 32-byte packets, and I got 4 packet response back. Now, if someone tried to send maybe a packet of 1 MB to a machine and wait for a response and send hundreds of packets, what it is going to do? All the machines have a limited capacity. When I say limited capacity, means your RAM is limited, right? And your processor is limited. And any command executed by a computer consumes or use or eat up your RAM and CPU. This is what you can see here in your task manager. Any simple activity, whatever is happening on your machine, CPU and RAM. Now, if someone is going to send you thousands of packets on your server, this is why if you look here in the next layer, you just need to say, just type ping and send it from 20 different machines to one machine and see the CPU utilization, how it goes up. And if you use the thousands of machines, maybe a possibility machine may get crashed. Simple port knocking. Sometimes check whether the port is open or not. The request on one particular port, you can crash the port. This is your TCP flooding, UDP flooding when you create a zombies, multiple machines, and all the machines target one machine, server. So what happens? Your machine is infected by a virus, and then your machine acts like a zombie to one server to bring the server down. Session hijackings. This attacks basically happens at a session is generated, session is stored either in the form of cookies or session is generated and captured during the man-in-middle attack, and then it is used. Now, at this stage, your DOS attack also happens. You can do a DOS attack at the lower, the lower layers, or you can do a DOS attack at the higher layers. If you are going to do a DOS attack at the higher layers, it is going to be more effective. Example, SSL. How the SSL works. What is SSL?
Security socket layer.
Yes, very correct. If you go to any of the website, most of the websites have a HTTPS. This is the SSL certificate which is installed. Basically, this encrypt the data entered by the user by the time data reach to the server. So if in middle someone is able to get the data or get hold of the data, they will still get the jumbled data, or you can call it the encrypted data. So in a way, SSL layer protects us during the transmission stage. So by the time the data reach from point A to point B, it is protected because it is encrypted. How the encryption work? For the SSL, if I am going to open any website, let's say this website, my request will go to this server. If the server accept my request, it will check. It will send my request to SSL server. SSL I can buy from Komodo, I can buy from, there are hundreds of companies I can buy SSL certificate. And that company will know whether the certificate is correct or not. If you are going to attack a non-SSL website with a DOS attack, or you are going to attack a SSL site with an attack, in SSL sites you need less resources because this delay itself helps you in achieving what you are trying to do. Now, we move to a buffer overflow. Sometimes you may have noticed application when you are trying to add something, it shows buffer overflow, especially in the EXEs, right? How that attack happens? While you are writing a code, let's say, in A, in B, to in C, A equal to B plus C. What we are trying to achieve is simple. Assign a variable integer A is equal to B plus C. But this A, when you set in A as integer, this has a certain storage capacity. Different programming language may have a different storing capacity as the integer. In about 1, this is just a 1 bit of data. But when I'm saying A as an integer, it may have a different hold value because when you set them X as boolean, it falls 2 bits. So if assuming based on your programming language, whatever you are using this bit, and the data you are trying to save here is bigger than to happen. If your glass is 1 liter and you are trying to put 2 liters of water in that, overflow, right? Same concept, buffer overflow. So while you are writing a code as a programmer, you are defining the variables or integers, and those integers, the value you are going to pass through, you may get this problem. So what the hacker does, they try to find out these kind of variables, try to put a data more than the threshold, so that and whenever the application crash, you see the errors. And those errors reveals really good information, especially for the hackers. DOS attack we discussed. Brute force, let's say there is a username and password. Now, I know the password of the person is 4 digits. How many times do I need to try? 9999? Because what the brute force will do, what I am going to do, I will try first 0001, 2, and 999, right? So if the application do not have a proper security, then anyone can write a simple program, okay, username is X, and then try password this, then try password this, and try password this, and let them. This is the reason what they call your password should be small, numeric, special character, spaces, minimum 7 digits, so that the permutation and combination of these numbers difficult for brute force. Remote code execution is the vulnerability which is really serious. Vulnerability can crash your server, your application, and this vulnerability can be in application or even in your operating system. Go to the Microsoft website and you will see the latest bugs reported or the patches they deliver. In those patches, you will see remote code execution, and sometimes they also detects. So this is what we talk about 7 layers. Now there is one more layer. We call it layer 8, social engineering. Because when you are talking as strong as the weakest link in the chain itself, security, the weakest link is not the network, it's we, human being. Any questions so far on this part? None? Okay. So we discussed here about different attacks on different layers, right? Show you one simple attack. We will try first. Let's say session hijacking. First of all, when you're talking about the network, right? These are the network sniffer. I'm going to launch one of them. I have a Wireshark. Why it's going here? Where is that? Oh, this is the application. Basically, it's a network sniffer. So what it does, it sniffs all the packets and everything. So if I go here, I have VMware, I have local area network. This is my LAN card. This is my Ethernet card. This is my virtual. This is my Wi-Fi and the others. Where I get work cards, network settings. When you go to the network settings, you go to the advanced options. Sorry. These are the cards. These are the